So, Jason, there's two new-ish terms in the world of PKI that you and I have never defined for our listeners yet. This is a what is episode. SPIFFE, which stands for Secure Product Identity Framework for Everyone, SPIFFE, and SPIRE, which stands for SPIFFE Runtime Environment, SPIRE. What is SPIFFE?
You know, it's been around a little while. So, you know, when we say new, I think it's new to people who are thinking about workload identity and agentic AI identity. SPIFFE, if you really want to get down to what it is at a very intuitive understanding, it's basically an identifier for an entity of some kind, typically some kind of a workload identity, of which you could think of an agentic AI identity as a type of workload. And so the thing is, right, there's perhaps the human being who's responsible for the system working. Mm-hmm. There's also the applications. There's system services underneath it. So SPIFFE, in terms of an identifier, it's your choice about what you're identifying.
Okay.
That's the important thing to note. So I think what's going to become the majority use case for it, it's either the name of the workload itself, the agent, if you will.
Okay.
Typically, when you say workload, that word tends to mean something like a Docker container running inside of a Kubernetes cluster, a deterministic workload that does the same thing over and over again.
Okay.
But then, of course, there's going to be agents, which need to have an identifier, and they're non-deterministic. They're kind of walking around your enterprise more like a person.
Right.
And so, you could call it Tim's Agent 1, if you wish, and Tim's Agent 2, if you have a second one. And that might be a naming convention. I think that naming conventions might end up becoming a cottage industry. But the point is, it's a name that is basically put into the certificate as one of the OIDs. It's a value you can choose. And then once it is signed, the identifier is baked within the cert.
Okay. And so then this, and again, just to make sure that we're not skipping over the obvious. Therefore, what I can do is I can verify the identity using the cert of the agent to ensure that I'm not getting attacked and a rogue agent, a bad guy injected agent isn't in my environment telling me to do things that I don't want to do.
Yeah. So what you can do as a policy is now you have something to hook onto. Mm-hmm. Because remember that like a digital certificate, as it is right now, a typical X509 cert, it is typically protecting, if you look at the common name, the CN of the cert, what does that mean in an agent world? Like, most of the way in which we do certs today are not really meant for identifying specific processes.
Sure.
And that's really what SPIFFE is trying to do. Spire is trying to do something else along with it.
Okay.
But once you have that identifier, you can then start building policy engines that have allow lists for those identifiers.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's, I would say, probably
that are PKI secured, so they're robust. Yeah.
It's absolutely robust. The whole idea of signing that cert with that identifier means that I am saying that whoever is in possession of this is the thing that I'm claiming it to be.
Great.
So you can see that there would be attack models against that if you were to just leave it there. And that's part of where Spire comes in.
Okay.
So, Tim, I think it might be worth tackling that on a separate topic. We're going to talk about Spire.
We'll talk about Spire next. Thank you, Jay.
Thanks, Tim.